If something goes wrong, you will just set up another one and repeat. So, for example, use virtual machine manager. It's easy to build a virtual machine with this. You can use another ones. I'm just giving an example. It's not an instruction. It's not advices to follow. Okay, so using this, say, virtual machine manager, create one virtual machine, nice and clean. All, say, Ubuntu 24.04 is currently recommended. Again, these slides will be obsolete in a year, actually. We usually recommend to use LTS version, and OpenStack usually relies on them. So before 24, it was 22. Before that, it was 20, and so on. So I can assume that soon we will be building OpenStack on Ubuntu 26.04. Anyway, right now it is 24. So anyway, you create a virtual machine, install Ubuntu on it, then optionally, you can pre-install into this very machine some programs that you will need further work with OpenStack. So for me personally, and of course we will need that to install OpenStack, it will be Git. Then again, this is personal for me. I use ifconfig, that is to work with IP addresses. That is to pretty much just to know IP address of your machine and maybe some other addresses if you need. SSH server, mandatory to reach out to this machine further. And again, the last one, HW clock, it's for me. It's personal because I like to set my date on the virtual machine with this. I will talk about this later when I will explain it in more detail. So anyway, long story short, you have a virtual machine with pristine, freshly installed system. Install some dependencies, some programs you want to work with later, and then you forget about this machine. You shut it down and you keep it safe. You never touch it again. This is the key point. So from this stage, you have a virtual machine which is nice and clean and ready to work. You never touch this machine. If you want to work with this, you clone it. So if something goes wrong, you always can just clone this first machine. It will save you time. It will give you more courage to experiment, actually. If you need more virtual machine, you clone more. And again, you don't have to have them running. You just shut this off and turn them on whenever you need to work. Okay, I think we can go from this further. Now let's dive deeper into what. Say we have this virtual machine, shuttle. We clone it, and now we work with this clone. In this clone, we want to install OpenStack. Of course, OpenStack can be big. It can be on multiple machines, multiple nodes, lots of cluster and everything. But we are talking today just about some easy environment to start with OpenStack. And for this, we don't need anything more than just one virtual machine. So we work with this clone. There is instructions in the OpenStack documentation. It's called all-in-one single machine. Don't worry, I will give all the links further in this presentation. Right now, we're just talking about ideas. So there is this really nice and simple recommendation how to deploy OpenStack with the tool that is called DevStack, OpenStack for developers. And that is pretty much few other steps that I wrote here. So we're not working under the main user. We're creating a new user stack for OpenStack. We'll just call it stack. Again, if you look in the instructions later, you will see. So we create a new user. We give this user sudo privileges. That's mandatory because we will be working with a system. We will be installing, copying lots of files. We need to give this user sudo privileges. And then we start to work with a DevStack. We download DevStack. Pretty much we do git clone. That is why we needed git in the original machine. And again, cloning this machine already gives us everything. So we will have git already. DevStack you can just run it right away. There's a script you can run it. But what I recommend, what my colleagues usually do, we first adjust local.conf file for this. Local.conf file in DevStack contains pretty much the configuration of your future OpenStack. So, for example, um, if you need some special segment of OpenStack that is not coming by default. By default, you will, of course, have Nova, Neutron, Runs. If you need something else, for example, Manila, if you need shared networks, this is Manila. So in this local conf, you will add dedicated lines about Manila. You will just write it down right there, and then DevStack will do everything for you. Also, in local.conf, you can pick your passwords right away. So set your passwords, and then you will just run the script. And then when it ends, you will have fresh and nice OpenStack installed on your one single virtual machine. Again, if you don't install it, if you don't specify the passwords, it's not a big deal. DevStack will ask you in the process. And then you will pretty much just have to type it every time. So that is that. And yeah, so with this, you will have a virtual machine with running DevStack, with running OpenStack, and all in one, all nice and ready to play with. And we are going to our next step, thinking locally. So far, we have our virtual machine, and we are reaching to this virtual machine through Virtual Machine Manager. It is opened in a separate window. It is not really easy to copy your commands from the tutorial you open in your browser. For this, we need to think locally. We need to reach to that machine through our local terminal. And for this, let's see what we can do. And speaking of locally, I suggest you to keep this local.conf file locally, not in the virtual. Of course, you will have it in your virtual machine because DevTech had to work with that. But if you just copy it and say create a directory with files like that, if you mark them, for example, I have about 10 local.conf files in my directory, and I mark them local.conf, Manila, local.conf, Swift, and so on and so forth. So virtual machines, especially when you experiment with them, something can go wrong. Something will go wrong when you experiment. That is totally normal. And then they will just won't start. Sometimes it is also pretty normal. So for these, you want to keep your local.conf file locally, just in case. So you can quickly redeploy your OpenStack with the very same configuration. Okay, but now nothing is broken, everything is working perfectly, and we just want to reach to that virtual machine through our terminal that is open locally. For this, we need to clarify the IP address of our virtual machine, and this is for, I use, I'll quickly go back and show you, that is where I use if config. Okay, so like this, we will know the address, and then we can keep it. Again, create a file. If you have multiple virtual machines, just to not all the time run them, go into them, run in this command, just keep a list somewhere, especially if you have loads of them. Especially because you don't have all of your virtual machines running at the same time. I know it can be overwhelming for a computer. So I personally prefer just run those virtual machines that I'm working currently with. But for virtual machines with OpenStack, you don't shut it down. When you're done your work, you just save it. Virtual Machine Manager have this option, shut off virtual machine and save it. So you save it. Save in virtual machine just saves it. It saves the state it was on, and then it does not use any resources. It's not shut off, but it's saved. And then when you need to work with exactly that virtual machine, you power it from the saved state. It is faster, and you have a guarantee that your OpenStack is still alive. Now pretty much OpenStack in a very good condition. You can shut off actually a virtual machine and then you will restore it and OpenStack will be alive. But back then when I was just starting, it was not a thing. If you shut off your virtual machine, you can lose everything. So yeah, save it. Save it, save your virtual machine, and put the IP address of this machine somewhere in another file. Then, what happens when you save your virtual machine and you power it on again? You can reach to this virtual machine through SSH. Exactly for that, we needed SSH, OpenSSH server installed on our virtual machine initially. Knowing the IP address of this machine, using this SSH, you can finally open a terminal of this virtual machine locally in your own terminal. And from this point, it is super easy to copy, to paste all the commands you read in the tutorials you want to experiment with. So nice and easy. But before working further, I strongly recommend to check the date on the virtual machines. Some systems check time pretty regularly and often. So say you run the virtual machine. Okay, I should maybe clarify this a little bit. So you save your machine yesterday, right? And your time is going on, and you open it today. But virtual machine is in the saved stage. It was thinking and you wake it up and it still thinks it is yesterday. So you need to point sometimes to the virtual machine that it is already the new date. So I like to check the date on my virtual machine right away. I know some systems check it regularly and you pretty much have to wait a couple minutes, but I don't like to wait. I like to just adjust the date right away. So we are on the same date with virtual machine. It is important for lots of services. It is important for Horizon because Horizon generates tokens and tokens expire. If you generate a token today, and your virtual machine is still in yesterday, she will not like it. Okay, and now when we have everything set up, when we know how to save our virtual machines and restore them, we can proceed with further steps. Let's talk about Horizon. What is Horizon? Horizon is a dashboard of the OpenStack. You can Google about Horizon by the words OpenStack dashboard. So that's the interface for the OpenStack. And we usually recommend for the people who just start to play with OpenStack to look into Horizon because Horizon is really easy for start working with OpenStack in general. If you don't know commands that you can use in console, you can just go ahead, open Horizon and click pretty much. Click at the tabs, look what you can do, run some servers, and it's all written for you. You don't have to know any commands, just experiment. And also, since Horizon is a interface, you can experiment a little bit easier with Horizon because whatever you change in Horizon, you can see right away. So it's nice and easy, and the learning curve here to start with, I'm being subjective here, but it's just a bit easier because you can see. And now let's talk about how we can mess with Horizon even easier without messing with our virtual machine itself. So first, we have a nice and clean virtual machine with a system. Second, we have a virtual machine with the OpenStack. And now we're going to have a local Horizon that we will be attaching to the virtual machine to not even mess with virtual machine with OpenStack itself. For this, let's clone Horizon locally again using Git. And this local Horizon will be not on the virtual machine, it will be on your computer. So we clone this Horizon, we create file with settings, local settings.py. It's nice and easy because Horizon has a local settings.py example, and you can just copy it from this. Again, you will find it further in the instructions how to do this. Now, to attach Horizon, we just need to we need to find OpenStack host in the local setting and change it to the IP of the virtual machine. And for this, we go to our list that I recommended to create and look for the IP of this virtual machine and just change it to this. And that should be enough because we have all in one single machine. And this IP will bring us to our OpenStack. We run local server on our computer, and then we can just go to our browser, open in your computer, not in the virtual machine, type this address, and you will see Horizon. And then you can experiment. Moreover, this Horizon and this code on your local computer, you can change, and that will never break the original Horizon, the original OpenStack in your virtual machine. So you can be absolutely free here. You can break whatever you want. You can fix whatever you want. And if something go wrong, and it absolutely will go wrong eventually, you can just wipe everything out and close Horizon again. I mean, that's not an advice. Ideally, don't break it like that. And if you break, try to fix it. But again, you always can roll your changes back. That is why we use Git. Any changes, you can create a commit with that, and then this commit you can discard and roll back to master branch, for example, of Horizon, or roll back to a stable branch of Horizon. Git is really nice tool for versions. If you mess stuff up, you don't even have to, of course, wipe everything out and clone it again. You can just discard the commit and it will work. Okay, I think that is it. I'm trying to be really focused here. And if Horizon is not enough for you, you can play with Horizon plugins. What are Horizon plugins? So initially, when OpenStack was just young and small, Horizon was ruling all the interfaces for all the projects. But then, obviously, OpenStack started to grow. And we, for example, bought Heat project orchestration. And for Heat project, we needed the whole new panel in Horizon. So we created it. It was load balancers as a server. It was VPN as a server. And for all of that, new projects, Horizon needed another tab, another panel. Horizon was growing. OpenStack was growing. Horizon was growing. And then at some point, community decided that it is a bit too much to have everything in one Horizon because Horizon is growing, and as OpenStack will grow, Horizon will grow, but it's not very nice to have it all in your Horizon. Plus, some people don't need these extra services. For example, if you just starting, you don't need all the services that just appear. You need just basics to play with. A Nova, Neutron, Glance, Cinder, that's it. So that is how the idea of plugins for Horizon was born. Horizon plugin is pretty much the additional interface that you plug in into Horizon, and you can have it as an extra panel, extra tab, extra in the Horizon. It usually is developed and maintained by the team that is working on this project. For example, Dila, the Manila team works on Manila itself and Manila UI. And then if you want to attach Manila and play with Manila shared through networks as a service, you add Manila to DevStack, Manila is installed, and to play with UI, you have to install Manila UI and attach it to your Horizon. And now I'll briefly tell how to attach it to Horizon. So again, we start with cloning a Horizon plugin locally, same as Horizon. Then we go to Horizon virtual environment. So in your console, you pretty much go to Horizon directory and then activate the virtual environment. Later in the instructions, in the links, I will give the links to the instructions. So right now we're just talking about the process. So yeah, you activate this virtual environment and install all the plugin dependencies into Horizon virtual environment. Because Horizon has its own dependencies, but plugin can have more. And of course, it will have more. because plugin is attached to the additional service in OpenStack, which Horizon does not have dependencies. Uh, and then after you install these dependencies, you need to enable the plugin files in Horizon. For this, you pretty much have to mess up with Horizon directory and copy files from local directory of, say, Manila UI, of any other UI plugin, local enabled and local settings. And that's it. You run local server again, you go to the same address in your own browser locally on your computer and open it, and voila, you will have Horizon extra panels, extra tabs, extra something that are belong to the plugin. And that is pretty much it. The procedure of working with plugins will be the same. You change something in your code locally, and you will see the changes right away in your browser. Very nice, very easy. Again, if you break something, you roll back your changes. Nothing horrifying, nothing irreversible. So you can safely experiment. It's pretty much it for me for today. And as I promised, some helpful links. I started with all in one single machine. There's the link to the instructions how to build a little OpenStack in your virtual machine, then Horizon documentation. You can read how to install Horizon manual installation guide. It's exactly how to clone it from Git, how to make it work. Then something about Horizon plugins, then Manila UI documentation in particular, because it's nice and easy, and Manila UI is has very similar structure as Horizon. So if you want to start with plugins, I strongly recommend Manila UI. It's well developed, well maintained, and it's very similar to Horizon. And then Horizon user documentation, Horizon contributor documentation. That is exactly about how to play with Horizon. Horizon user documentation pretty much will tell you where to click, how to create this and that, how to change it to get used to Horizon. And Horizon contributor documentation, it's pretty much a big welcome for you to join the team and to contribute to Horizon. Some initial steps, some guides, and we're a very friendly community. So you're welcome to play and to experiment, to fix something, to create some new feature, and to join us. And I think I'm done for today. Thank you for your attention. And now, if you have any questions, please go ahead.
Thank you, Tatiana. Maybe to add a bit of context, Horizon is OpenStack's UI. The way you have AWS consoles, most of the things that you can find on AWS, you can find in Horizon. I don't have I have it in a VM at home, but that was what Tatiana was taking us through the step by step of how to set it up locally, but within a VM. We've recorded a session, and you can always test it out. You can also use OpenStack as a CLI. You also have technically everything you can do on a cloud, and you can do this with OpenStack. Like Tatiana said, if you want to contribute to Horizon, as she said, it's one of the easiest ways to see Django and Angular. The Angular is the first time. So if you can write Django, you can contribute to Horizon. It's not the setup is a bit easier once you follow it in a VM or locally. Paul also had done a session very much about the same with Ansible if you're familiar with Ansible. So it's not impossible. It just takes a bit of patience, and like Tatiana has said, keep your VM, clone it so that if something goes wrong, you don't have to be like me and go like, how do I restore my VM? Don't know which has done that. So does anyone have a question for Tatiana?
Yeah, I hope I will able to hear. It's a bit not very clear. Okay, please go ahead.
Okay, I have three questions. One
Sure.
is, can you set up OpenStack on Windows subsystem for Linux? And number two, there was a time I was tinkering with Horizon OpenStack, that is DevStack, and I shifted from one network to another and everything broke down. Are there like troubleshooting tips you can share with the team, with us? And number three, the debugging experience in AngularJS is horrible. Are there internal tools that have been developed to help with that experience, to smoothen the experience?
Okay, let's
Okay,
start.
for the sake of the rest of the guys, let me also share the questions with the rest of the team. Number one, can DevStack work with the Windows subsystem WSL? Number two, troubleshooting. There is an experience I had with DevStack. We moved from one network to another and everything broke. Is there a way that, are there things you can give on troubleshooting such issues? Or is there a way you can make it so that everything runs on localhost? And number three, debugging on AngularJS. Are there tools that have been made, or are there tools that have been provided by Red Hat to improve on this experience?
You can answer the questions. I hope you got them.
Okay, I will. Yeah, you will be helping me because the sound was a bit choppy. Okay, first of all, about Windows. Again, it is strongly recommended to use Ubuntu 24 right now. If you look into the instructions, you can see that Ubuntu 24 is supported and recommended. I'm pretty sure there are other systems. I know that, for example, in Fedora, there is some packages of OpenStack too. Ubuntu has its own packages too. I don't know about Windows, but I'm pretty sure there are some. And I'm pretty sure instructions will be very similar. I just don't have any experience with that. So I won't lie to you. But if you want something in particular, you just pretty much have to read the OpenStack documentation about that. But we developers usually just work on Ubuntu because we are not administrators. That's an interesting twist here, actually, because developers are not users and they are not administrators. So we develop on pretty much nice and lightweight machines, mostly environments. And then from users, we get feedback. And that's how ideally we learn about features that would be nice to have, some ideas on the features. So yeah, about some operational systems, which one to use and how to use, you have to dig into the documentation. Again, I don't think it's very big difference between them, but there are absolutely some specialties, some things that are unique for any each of these operation systems. But yeah, I cannot tell right now, but I can tell you that there are absolutely sure in the documentation of OpenStack. And the second question was about debugging in AngularJS, correct?
Yeah, you can answer that one.
Yeah, for AngularJS debugging, in Horizon, we were pretty much just using console. But this, again, I was not presenting this today because right now, OpenStack community and Horizon community in particular are gravitating to rewriting everything in Python, actually. Because historically, yes, it was an interesting idea to work with AngularJS. We had lots of developers with experience in JavaScript and AngularJS in particular. But time passed, developers switched to some other projects, and the Horizon community were just left with the developers who are not very experienced in AngularJS, for one. For two, having this few people still absolutely capable to maintain AngularJS parts of Horizon, we ran into the other problem. Oh, AngularJS expired. and it had its end of life, I think, a couple years ago. It's not in the best condition. I mean, it works, but developing new features with the obsolete language is not a good idea. So the community started to gravitate to the effort of rewriting all the JavaScript parts in pure Python Django. So that is what it looks like OpenStack UI future for now. Um, and we encourage plugins to use the same way. Um, I know a few plugins were not using JavaScript at all, just following the original path of Horizon, say Manila UI, Designate Dashboard, Hit UI also. But yeah, I know there are some plugins that are written just only in JavaScript. But again, this is on the plugins, so we are not dropping the dependencies yet. And debugging of AngularJS is pretty much debugging. There's nothing new in the Horizon about that. So to debug AngularJS, there are some instructions and tutorials. And if you want me to say it in a few words, I will just say use console to debug Angular.
All
So
right.
you go to browser, you go to browser console, and you set flags there. You track the variables. Yeah, that's it.
All right. The last question was on a network issue where when you change from one network to another, your local DevStack doesn't work anymore. So what are some ways you can debug that, or are there tools that maybe Red Hat has or that we can use for that?
Well, Red Hat is working on lots of artificial intelligence tools right now, specifically about working with logs. But the answer here will be look into the logs. That's like 100% where to start. You look into the logs, there's not about Horizon right now, it's about networks, so it's Neutron. Go to Neutron logs, look through the logs. Logs can be, of course, very overwhelming, but you can use AI tools to that, and people in Red Hat are experimenting with lots of helpers, lots of helping tools with AI. I know some of colleagues were experimenting with Cursor AI. It helps to track the issue down, so it works with, for example, if you have a patch and tests are failing, it helps to track down where the failure is. So I'm pretty sure it's powerful enough to just work with logs. You can just feed the logs to it, and it will help. I know just pretty much Gemini is also capable to take input and work with that. So yeah, pretty much any tools that will help you to go through the logs.
All right. Any other questions? Yeah, I think that's it from our end. Thank you so much for sharing how to set up DevStack. So is it okay if I share the slides with the community?
Oh yeah, sure. It's even recommended because I have a bunch of useful links there, and you cannot just have them from the picture. You need to share the document itself. Sure.
Right. Thank you so much for your time, for creating the time on a Saturday. We know it's not a working day.
Okay, thanks a lot for inviting me. I'm very happy to be here. I hope it's not the last time. And yeah, thanks for your attention. Thanks you all for joining, and hope to see you soon. Bye.
Bye. Yeah, so that's it for DevStack. The OpenStack team does 2 releases a year. So if you're interested in certain contributors and know what's happening, I think the next community meetings will be in October. Yeah, they'll announce it. The last one was in October, I think in April. So there's 2 releases a year if you're interested in contributing to whatever projects there are. There are many projects in OpenStack. So this was the UI Horizon. So I think, let me check what's coming up next.